All right. So we're back here once again on Commanders in the Chat, episode 58. We are back here on a victory edition of the Commanders in the Chat post game. What's going on, Rob?
Well, like you said, it's a victory Sunday. We get to enjoy victory Monday tomorrow. It's good to win. We'll get into it, but still a lot of questions though.
Yes, a lot of questions to be answered. Yeah, this is definitely it was a win. It's an historic win for us, obviously, and this has been like somewhat of an interesting year. Going to Indianapolis a few weeks ago, winning for the first time in 28 years in Indianapolis, and now here winning our first game against the Texans in 16 years. So, um, we have 16-year-old kids and now have finally witnessed a Washington Commanders win over the Houston Texans. So
Yeah,
all is right with the world. So so yeah, obviously the Commanders won by the final score of 23-10. So Rob, what was your initial thoughts during this game and then just during the game and then pretty much the duration of the game? What was your initial thoughts?
throughout the game, pretty much had the same thought. Just Taylor Heineke, don't screw it up for us. I mean, not to look over an opponent, but this should have been an easy win. This should have been an easier win than what it was. To be, if we're being honest, but really just hoping Taylor Heineke didn't screw it up. He almost screwed it up from the jump in the I think first two plays of the game. The pick that was dropped should have been a pick. I think I don't know who it was, but that same player had a drop pick later on in the game too. But I'd much more rather Taylor Heineke get those throws out of his system early in the game than for him to try to do something at the end of the game and cost us like he did against the Vikings, because we're one one interception away from possibly being 7-4 right now. Um, and really talking about this team being not just in the hunt, but in that playoff race and being on the inside. Um, hey, look,
I don't know. Kenneth, you take care of business on Thursday. If y'all take care of business on Thursday, we got a little breathing room. Because with the
yeah,
Giants, they 6-4, they be 6-5. Kenneth
yep.
do us a solid, then we might
and
move up
yeah, and
potentially.
the,
Because
and
we
the
haven't played the
Giants,
Giants yet.
yeah, and the
Yeah,
Giants got exposed today.
for
The
sure.
Giants got exposed.
Do us a
So
favor. Do us a favor, Kenneth. We won't be in last place if y'all take care of throw
look,
us a little throw us a bone.
look, I'm not saying I'm rooting for the Cowboys. I would never do that.
For sure.
Um, but I am an opportunistic person,
Yep.
and if it comes with moving up a spot in the divisional rankings, then you know what, hey, so be it. There is still a path because I like to mess around with the ESPN playoff predictor. There's still a path for this team to get the number one seed in the NFC. Not saying it's going to happen. I'm not going to bet money that's going to happen, but I'm just saying there's still a path. But no, I like the way the run game. Scott Turner, I like how he's taking the ball out of Taylor Heineke's hands. He's limiting the quarterback exposure. Basically, he's taking the right shots at the right time, and it's something that he struggled with the first part of the season. Something that we ridiculed him weekly on a weekly
Yeah.
basis,
Yeah.
trying to be something he's not. I feel like he's finally learned what he is as an offensive coordinator, not just what he is as an offensive coordinator, but what he has at his disposal as far as talent goes.
Yep.
So he's realizing that and saying, okay, you know what? This is a winning formula. Let's let our defenses holding teams 14, 10 points. All we got to do is get in that 17 to 24 range, and we have good chances. Heineke can make the throws when he needs to make them. Usually to limit it and put him in the right spots.
Yeah. And like you said, this is kind of one of those game plans where this is kind of what we was, almost similar to kind of the Philly situation. Obviously, we don't look at the Texans as the caliber of the Philadelphia Eagles, but in a sense of not deviating from the task at hand. Where I look, obviously in previous we, even back 2021, where we kept on thinking to ourselves like, okay, well, with Taylor, like, is he gonna play hero ball? Is he gonna have to play catch up? Like, as far as what type of talent Heineke we're gonna get week in and week out. Now, like you said, it's starting to get to a point where he's settling in and kind of knowing, hey, I need to just do what's best for the team. I know, I'll take some shots here and there, but nothing too crazy, nothing too extravagant. Like, he's getting to that point where I think, like I said, like you said, to your point with Scott Turner, I think Scott Turner now knows his personnel more.
Yeah.
And now you look at and I think the beauty thing about it, and now you're seeing how big of a difference Curtis Samuel is, where, I think he's such a key contributor now when you just look at it from that standpoint of just like, hey, what he can do and kind of help like a Taylor Heineke, where, he can, you can kind of disguise him in a lot of coverages. You can't make him the running back. You can make him the wide receiver. So you can do a lot with him. This is one of those games where I think you will take it, because obviously, a 23-10 win is a win. And then even you just look at even how they played our NFC East counterparts, where this probably by far was probably the least close game out of out of the other matchup they've had with Philly and also with the Giants. Well, probably Philly in a sense, probably but more like the Giants of last week. But yeah, you'll take it. And this one is, points that, there was opportunities to punch the score in. It could have been easily, I could have been 30-something, scored 30-something plus points on this game.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but you'll take it. And this is kind of one of the things where even in a win, I think this team can learn and grow from it. So, but this, like you said, like we talked about it last week, where it's the best time in the year to get yourself together. Now, now being at 65, we haven't been over 500 this late in the season since 2018, and so it's interesting. It's an interesting time, and it's like one of those where you could definitely see, like you said, like as far as the path to the playoffs, it's realistic. And like you said, now, especially if you're in that, I think comfortably, if we're in that third place in the NFC East, where it's almost like you're given to being in that situation, you're probably more likely to be like the 6th seed. And way things are going, you'll probably go to possibly, because what you got, Philly's number 1, Minnesota's 2. I guess it probably be the NFC. I know the South is gonna be trash, so it got to be the West. So probably either Seattle or maybe San Francisco, whoever comes out of that as a 3-6 matchup. So yeah, I'm definitely encouraged going forward with this team. I definitely think what we've seen in these past few weeks, just the resolve of the team, and even with this, where the defense was a catalyst in this game. So it's one of those things where you can kind of see how this team is, and this is kind of the team that we've always envisioned this team was going to be. Now they actually put it all together, and it's great. It's a point. I definitely didn't think we would, they're actually living up to their potential. So, but so we got, so okay. So how was the game one in your opinion?
Just limiting the chance for mistakes by Taylor Heineke. And this isn't to diss Taylor Heineke and say he's not a good quarterback. Obviously, you're one of 32 guys that have that job. Only 31 other people outside of Taylor Heineke has the job that he has. So this is no way saying that he's a bad quarterback, but he's not the feature. He's not that dude. He's not a game changer. He is a game manager. He is a game controller. And that's what he has done very well over the last all 5 games that he started. He's played very well. He's been a great game manager. It's just a Minnesota game. The part where he wasn't came at the worst possible time.
Right.
Run game was solid. I had the numbers up. We ran 40 times total between Antonio Gibson, Brian Robinson, Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson, Terry McLaurin, and Taylor Heineke. 40 rushes for 153 yards. Not astronomical numbers, not eye-popping numbers, but numbers to get the job done. As a team, average 3.8 yards a carry, which again, I don't know what the league average is off the top of my head. I believe the 3.8 is lower, probably not by much.
Yeah.
But still, you're looking at an average of almost 4 yards, basically 4 yards per carry. Depending on where the refs start the ball, you're looking at a 3rd and 2 in most situations. If all you did was run an average nearly 4, you're looking at a 3rd and 2. Um, Converting 4th downs, the 2 that we had was big, and getting to the quarterback was huge.
Huge.
Getting to the quarterback and tackling. One stat that I have on here that I've never really heard anybody actually bring it up as a very important statistic. But out of all the passes that Davis Mills threw today, 5 of them resulted in negative yards for 42 yards. That's almost half the field. We pushed him back throughout the game a total of nearly half the field. And you do that to any team. You're putting yourself in a good position. You do that. You look at what our numbers in that stat, 0 for 0. Taylor didn't make any negative yardage throws. Davis Mills again had 5 for 42 yards.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, like you said, I think obviously I think how this game was won essentially was the defense. I think obviously we talked about even last week where we knew like coming into the game, like Davis Mills was sacked 23 times going into this game, and we knew that was going to be kind of the key, a key for them to win this game. So looking at that, and then I think that the obviously I think the play that really that pretty much essentially started this game was a Kendall Fuller interception return. I think that definitely was kind of one of those things, and I think it got the defense going. And you just seeing, what they did, and that's the kind of the beauty thing about like how the defense now they're coming to their own. You're seeing now, like Forrest, he's doing his thing. He had an interception in this game as well. And so and that's one thing too. We're limiting the big plays. So that's one thing too, where that's such a key. And I just think essentially that then coupled with the fact that Washington was smart with the football. They didn't turn the ball over at all. So Taylor Heineke made the throws when need be. The offense moved the ball down to the field because we had several opportunities in the red zone, but we just never could take advantage as far as scoring a touchdown. But that just kind of shows you that this football team can move the ball. They can move the ball, and it's just more so, hey, just clean up the execution in the second and in the red zone, then you'll be fine. So I look at those kind of words, the kind of how this game was won. But I definitely think the defense really essentially carried this game because obviously the simple fact of Montez Sweat getting 2 sacks, Jonathan Allen Jonathan Allen got 2 sacks, and then Deron Payne. I don't know why I get Cameron and Deron. Like I don't understand how I mixed that up. I just don't for the life of me. But Deron Payne had a sack as well. But yeah, I think those kind of the things that kind of that pretty much sealed this victory. But most definitely. So we got to give out grades, Rob. What you got?
I'm gonna start with the defense.
Mm-hmm.
I think as a whole, I give them a B plus.
Okay.
I didn't like what they did in the second half, and I understand why they did.
Yeah.
You have the 20-0 lead. You want to play not necessarily conservative, but safe. You don't want to play press coverage, really rush a blitz, a 5-6 man blitz, and risk a slant going to the house. So I understand why, but I just didn't like how open their receivers were. So it was a little too soft. The Texans converted all 4 of their 4th down attempts. That's the only thing I didn't like. Outside of that, defense was freaking amazing. Jonathan Allen, 5 sacks total between the entire defense. Jonathan Allen had 2. Deron Payne had 2. Deron Payne had 1. Jonathan Allen 2. Montez Sweat had 2.
Yeah.
Like this team, they got after it. and that's not including the quarterback rushes, the hits, the um, they're just getting in his face, making him feel uncomfortable. Defense played amazing, solid B plus again. Fourth quarter, I didn't like that they played such a soft coverage, but again, I understand why they did that. Offense, um, I'll give them an A minus. I think in totality, Taylor Heineke again did what he was supposed to do, played well. He didn't play great, he didn't play outstanding, he didn't play bad. Where's his numbers at? 15 of 27, 191 yards, no sacks, which is huge. Even better, no interceptions, no touchdowns, no offensive touchdowns this game. Passing wise, you had the one run by Curtis Samuel, and obviously the pick six by Kendall Fuller. But again, he did what he was asked to do. He did what he needed to do. He made big throws when he needed to. Um, there's a throw to Terry McLaurin on the far sideline where he stood in the pocket and took a hit. Took a hit from his blind side, got the ball. I believe it was Terry McLaurin. It might have been Logan Thomas on the far sideline. It looked from when I was watching it, it looked like it was going to be a strip sack with how close it looked in real time. Um, Run game, again, I touched on it earlier. Of the 40 touches, Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson had 32 of them.
Yep.
For about 129 yards, almost 130 yards. Big. Just the beginning of the game, so that first drive, the first couple drives, and then kind of in the middle after halftime in the third quarter, kind of just sputtered out. Weren't really getting anything going. So I give them a solid. I think I said A minus.
Yeah, and the offense, I'm gonna give them a B minus. I think the fact, like you said, he did what he was supposed to do, and he's gonna he's gonna be the Trent Dilfer, and it's gonna be fine. I can live with a Trent Dilfer type of performance,
Yeah.
especially coming into now late November, early December, and January as well. So I can take that. He did have a lot of points that was left on the field, which at this point, I think it's gonna be every game that you're gonna leave points off the field. But to me, especially with this offense, I think anytime that this team is actually essentially in the red zone and they kick a field goal, that's gonna happen probably
Yeah.
a million times. 9 times, well, 10 times out of 10 times, pretty much. But I'll give them credit. They were smart with it. They was methodical offensively. So I'm gonna give them a B minus. Defense, I'm gonna give them an A. Obviously, forcing the 2 turnovers. Then, like you said, we talked about the play of Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat, and he did his thing, and this whole defense getting the pressure on to Davis Mills, where he really didn't have have opportunity to really do a lot of things, especially in that first half. And like you said, I went into the second half because it's like you can play a little bit soft because obviously you're just trying to just bring it home. You're just trying to just reel it in and try to just get out of here with a victory, and don't pretty much But I definitely think they did a great job defensively on this in this game, and then offense B B minus, and that's always room for improvement with that one. But hey, we'll just take it for what it is. It's a win. Is a win. I'll take it.
Yeah.
These type of performances, I'll take. If we can go out here, and actually win by 13 points the way we played, I take this every week.
Yeah. And it's at some point this offense. No, let me learn how to talk. At some point, this offense is going to have to click on a level that they have not clicked at all this season. They
Yep.
kind of did the first couple of games. Jacksonville's a bad team. They did in the second half against another, let's be honest, a bad team in Detroit.
Yeah.
But this offense has to get something going. No more slow starts because you still have a decent challenge coming up in the remaining of the schedule. You got Falcons coming up, who, albeit they played the Bears, that was a pretty high scoring game by their standards. Then you have the Giants, who are, like I said earlier, got exposed, but I mean they still have Saquon Barkley, still a threat. Go on a bye week, and then you have the Giants again. So you have 2 weeks to prepare for the Giants. No matter what happens that first game, you got 2 entire weeks to prepare for the Giants again. Make adjustments if you need to make adjustments, or anticipate their adjustments if we do get the win in the first game. Then you have Cleveland after that, who's not really a playoff team, but they're getting Deshaun Watson back.
Yep.
I don't think that's as big as people are gonna make it, or as people are making it out to be. Dude hasn't played in 2 years. He hasn't been with the team since like OTAs. He's
Yeah.
sure he has the playbook, but we experts always talk about it. We always talk about it. Chemistry within the team is important. Terry McLaurin, even they did a piece on him this morning on Fox, on the Fox pregame show. He mentioned the fact that he has more reps with Taylor Heineke than any other quarterback throughout his 4 years, and he said that's why he feels like they have such a good connection. Chemistry is a real thing in the NFL between quarterbacks and receivers and pass catchers. Deshaun Watson does not have that with that Browns team. So yes, he's a skilled player, but still at the end of the day, if you don't have that timing down, because you looked at throws when Taylor is running a 10, 15-yard out, Taylor Heineke's throwing the ball before he comes out of his break, and that's huge. People always talking about that with quarterbacks, throwing your receivers open. You're anticipating where he's going to be because you guys have that chemistry. You understand him, he understands you. Deshaun Watson is not going to have that. After that, we go to San Francisco, play them on Christmas Eve. Jimmy G is the best quarterback when he doesn't throw touchdowns. He has like a 10-2 record when he doesn't throw a touchdown. He's going to rely on Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel. Again, go up against, you got Montez Sweat going up against Trent Williams, which that doesn't matter to him because he wasn't around when Trent Williams was a part of the team.
Yeah.
But we were. So that's personal for me.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
Then you close out with Dallas. You look at the schedule, there is a possibility, I'm not saying we're going to, but there is a possibility we finish the season 11 and whatever, 11 and 6.
Yeah. And you know what's funny about all this? It is, and this is where once again we're back at square one again, where we were almost in this predicament this time last year, where we were right at 500, and that's when we started playing all our NFC East opponents. And this is going to be the perfect time to see what this team is made of. Like, especially if you look at just down the line, like there's a lot of we're going to be playing meaningful football. The final 6 weeks of this season.
Yeah,
and that's the thing where each matchup is going to have its somewhat implications, because even Atlanta, I think Atlanta's another team where if them in Tampa Bay are in essence kind of tied in a sense as far as when it comes to the NFC South, and then they could be a team that could potentially make the wild card if they don't win the division. And then obviously, the Giants, and that's one of the things where if we can still, split it half and half, then maybe we can be that third seed, that third spot in the NFC East, thus pretty much putting us in, because I definitely think there'll be 3 teams that'll make it. That fourth is going to be a stretch. And then, San Francisco, which I think that's going to be an interesting game. That's going to, we're a lot alike, personnel wise. So I think that's another one too, where that's intriguing. And then Dallas, rounded out. And that's definitely, at first I was thinking, well, maybe this won't be the Sunday night flex, but I don't know. It could potentially be a Sunday night flex. I mean, the way things are going, it has its shot. So I don't want to necessarily want to bury that in as far as that type of thought process, because it could happen. We could be sitting here 7 weeks from tonight, and it could be a Sunday night. I want to say it might be for the playoffs, like winners in the playoffs, probably. How things are going. I don't necessarily think it's gonna be for the division, but this could potentially be a matchup between the 2 final wild card teams, potentially.
Yeah.
It's a lot can happen in 7 weeks, but I would not be surprised 7 weeks from today on January the 8th that will be, that it'll be that's the case where we'll be a Sunday night football game. I mean, a Sunday night flex.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
in the playoff machine that I was messing around with earlier, you can
yeah.
go in and do your own. Obviously, you can pick who
Oh
wins the
yeah, I'm gonna
games.
check it out. Yeah,
You can
yeah.
you can also do it by win percentage, home team. So whatever teams have the better winning percentage at that time, they'll mark them as a win. Every home team wins, every away team wins, and offensive and defensive rank wins.
Mm.
So if you do off a defensive rank going up against the rest of the teams, this has us finishing 11-6. The only team we lose to is San Francisco.
Ooh.
That's a slightly better defense than we do. So
Yikes.
it's our defense is going to be key in these last however many games, last 6 games that we have.
Yeah.
We will go as far as our defense will take us. Again, just like it was in 2020. We will go
Yeah.
as far as our defense takes us. And that'll put us in a matchup with the Vikings, which I want that match. I would want that matchup again.
I want that. Yes, because I know we'll get them.
Yeah. Taylor Heineke's not making the same mistake twice.
Exactly.
I want that matchup.
I want that matchup so bad too, because like it's time to get back. It's a big get back game. And yeah, and then that mean we going back. Then we might go to Link, the divisional round, and
We could, a possibility.
yeah, we go to Link, yeah, because if we the lowest seed, because if we stay that 7th seed,
we wouldn't be if it plays out how this has the defensive rank.
Yeah,
it has us as a 5 seed.
Ooh, and then Minnesota being a 4th.
Minnesota being the 4th, Dallas a 6 seed, and Tampa being the 3 seed.
Ooh.
Again, this also has Dallas losing to the Colts, to who else? No, not there. To the Eagles.
Possibly
losing. Yeah, it's just those 2 games.
Yeah, because we would beat them because we 11-6. Yeah, God, that would be something we gonna roll like that.
Over them. I put them at the 6th seed against Tampa Bay, and then the Rams against the Niners, which I would take Dallas over Tampa in that matchup. So that means
they got the Rams. They got the Rams going to the the playoffs.
This is off of defensive ranks. Apparently, their defense is pretty good.
Yeah. Ooh,
or at least compared to the games that they have remaining.
Because because I forgot who their quarterback is now. Because now Stafford had been in the protocol twice in 2 weeks. He's done. Like I don't think he's gonna be back for a significant amount of time. I can't see him being in protocols for like 3 times this season. So I think it's a wrap.
But yeah.
But that would be something if they come if they mess around and have a 3-17 make the playoffs. It's a ride in these streets. But yeah. I forgot who is their quarterback. I forgot who their backup quarterback. Because
is it?
No, I think it's because I know Schefter put out who was their quarterback. I was like, man, that is so wild. Like I forget.
John Wolford.
Yeah, John. Yeah. Matter of fact, because John Wolford was the one. Did he beat Arizona one year? I think he was the one because remember when the Rams. Yeah, because remember when the Rams beat the Seahawks in like divisional, like in the wild card one year? Because remember Jared Goff got hurt. This might have been like Jared Goff last year, and with the Rams. And I think he won a playoff game against Seattle. I want to say maybe that was like maybe 2019 or like 2020. Because I remember when Seattle won the division that year and they lost. The Rams beat them. I think if my memory serves correct. I think he beat Seattle one year. Because I remember that because that was the year they went to Green Bay and lost. And I'm thinking that's the year that Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl. No. Yeah, because if it was Jared Goff's last year, because Stafford got traded that following year because that's the
Yeah.
year that Tampa Bay won. So I think that was in 2020. But yeah, I want to think that or did he? Because I remember they were contemplating. No, I think Jared Goff was in the game and got hurt in that game. I think John that the dude finished it off. But yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, so we getting our game balls for the first time in a minute.
Right, we are.
Yeah. So who getting this who getting a game ball for us this week? Who you got?
I'll give it to Jonathan Allen.
Okay.
Do was a record. He got no. You know what? Deron Payne, because Deron
Okay.
Payne was involved a lot more in the
Yeah.
quarterback's area than Jonathan. Allen got one more sack, but it felt like Deron Payne was in Mills' face almost every play. So our defensive game ball goes to Deron Payne. Offensive game ball, I'll give it to Taylor Heineke. He played
Okay.
well, 191 yards passing, and he didn't screw it up. He didn't lose the game for us, which is at this point all we can ask of him.
Yeah, for sure. And I think mine is gonna go to it's gonna be Montez Sweat. I think that's another one where I'm always just impressed of of what he's doing this year, like as far as just simple fact of just bouncing back and coming back from last year and and performing and doing his thing. Ever since pretty much since that Tennessee game, he's just been like lights out. Like every week he's getting it.
Yeah,
Offensively, probably I'm gonna give it to Curtis Samuel. Obviously, him I'm having that our lone offensive touchdown as well. But honorable mention got to be Kendall Fuller. I think Kendall Fuller, especially Kendall deserves it because Kendall is always the one he's he gets a lot of flack,
yeah,
and sometimes and the bulk of the time is rightfully so. But for him to make a play like that, which we thought, we was gonna get that kind of ability again when we, when he had his second act here in Washington. So,
You make
um,
the holidays happen.
but yeah, so yeah, he does make the holidays happen.
yeah.
Especially at
It was a
65,
nice
yeah.
it was a nice little early Thanksgiving present from
For
Kendall
sure.
Fuller. Um,
Yeah.
almost had a second one too. Almost
Yes.
had a second one at one point.
It
Couldn't
was
get there in time,
I seen that.
but
I was like, oh, you were right there. I was like, man, if you was a few yards a little deep, I'm like, yo, you'd have got that.
oh yeah. But these last
But
6 weeks are going to be very.
yeah,
I'm just glad we're playing meaningful football,
yeah,
and we're an above 500 team. We're
yeah,
not like in 2020 where we're fighting to finish 7-9 to win the division. We're sitting at 6-5.
yep,
Again, could possibly we're half a game, actually less than half a game now. We were this morning. We were half a game out from that seventh wild card spot.
yep,
Um, so it's important that the game tomorrow night is going to be big. Shout out Colt McCoy, do a little Monday
yo,
Night Magic as he once did for us against the Cowboys.
yeah,
Colt McCoy, just do it one time for us. Because if Niners
yeah,
drop tomorrow night's game, that puts us in the seventh seed, and at that point, control our own destiny, which is
yep,
all you can ask for heading into
yep.
December. So you just control your own destiny, win out, win in, you're in, basically.
Yeah, and like you said, this is it. This is where you want to be. I mean, considering the fact that we were sitting here weeks ago at 1-4, and now we're
Yeah,
sitting here, and now it's above 500. And I always say the best thing about like this time of year, and obviously Thanksgiving is Thursday when the Cowboys play. They always had a graphic of the standings. If you see your name in 1 through 7, or you see yourself in the hunt, that's where you want to be.
yeah,
That's where you want to be. You want to be on that graphic at Thanksgiving. You want to be at that in that graphic. So for us to be there at 6-5, it's great. It's a great accomplishment. Considering the fact where we started from, and and the good thing about the team just has a resolve. Like, and I think that's a good thing about even even after like the 1-4 start, after those, after having, it's crazy about with this team. Once if they have a heartbreaking loss, they could come back and perform. The Minnesota game was a perfect example of that. You think about the Tennessee game. You lost in a heartbreaking fashion there, and you came back on a Thursday night and beat Chicago. So you just look at those type of games where it's just like you love that this team is even in the face of adversity they rise back to the occasion the following week and what have you. But now putting and having two consecutive road games, I think that's really impressive. What we've seen thus far from this team, but good thing about being on the road 2 weeks in a row, you'll we going back to the crib. We're going back to FedEx, and hopefully it's going to be probably a ruckus crowd
Yeah.
next Sunday. Up next is the Atlanta Falcons. Just your brief thoughts on this matchup coming up next Sunday.
Obviously, it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
Are they a good team? Not really. The whole division isn't really that good. Um, they played the Bears today. They did win 27-24, kind of a high scoring game. Um, but it wasn't really Bears aren't that great. They lost to us, and we only put up like 12 points on them. So do with it what you want. They're sitting at 5-6, going back home. Um, the only thing that scares me, Marcus Mariota being such a mobile quarterback.
Yeah.
Davis Mills kind of he broke off a couple decent runs, one on fourth down and then one for the touchdown, a 4-yard run for the touchdown for their score. But it's a chance to get to 7-5, improve our odds to keep pushing for one of those last 3 playoff spots, one of those wild card spots. So just go home, take care of business, and don't overlook this team. Just do what you got to do. Stick to the game plan. Scott Turner, Ron Rivera, Jack Del Rio. The game plan has worked for the last 5 weeks, including the Minnesota game. Just had that one screw up by Taylor Heineke, but the game plan has worked. Just stick to it. Don't try to fix something that's not broken. Just get the job done. Move on to 7-5.
Yeah. And that's the thing where, it's gonna be definitely an interesting game to say the least. Obviously, like you said, Marcus Mariota being and a quarterback that can loot out the pocket. It's gonna definitely be interesting. Kadero Patterson, I think he's Kadero Patterson. Um, he's gonna give us fits, 'cause obviously like how it was last year, where he was pretty much he carried that team. In that matchup. So I look at that, and this is a very important game. Like you said, this is where this could be a game that you got to take advantage of, because this could be a matchup down the line. When it comes to playoff positioning, that this could be a team that could potentially be in your way. And like I said, we want to talk about controlling our destiny. A win over Atlanta definitely adds another step to that. And so, you like you said, you want to, take care of business at home, get yourself to 7-5, and then you just head to the Meadowlands, and you start off December right. This is why not cap off a great month that you've already had, and take care of business against this the Falcons team, and just go out there 7-5 and be in prime position for the final month of the regular season,
Yeah,
or the final full month of the regular season.
that's all you can do. That's all you can ask for.
That's all you can, and definitely looking forward to that as well. But yeah, so we'll put a bow on episode 58. Commanders in the chat. Social media, where can they find you?
Y'all already know you can find me FNC Pod on Twitter, Football and Chill Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. Check us out tomorrow night, Overreaction Monday. Don't have a time yet. We'll get the time finalized in the chat, but definitely gonna do that tomorrow night. Um, are we doing something next week?
Yes. I don't know when. I just know with or without our guests,
Okay.
is on. But I reached out today, and we're gonna work that out.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll do something on TD Eve, TG Eve. I don't know if it's gonna be live or not, but we'll let them know. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So follow the podcast. Pretty much Facebook, Twitter. Yes, Twitter's still around, guys. Commanders ITC for now, but Commanders ITC, and then also my other podcast, Couch Coach Live, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram on the Couch Coach Live. We do a live show this Wednesday, 8:00 Eastern Standard Time, and yeah, man, and definitely a huge shout out to our guys Kenneth, and then our guy Jordan for chiming in and being a part of the chat tonight on Commanders in the Chat. So this wraps up episode 58. We'll catch you guys next week. This has been this week's Commanders in the Chat, and we out.